Good morning, friends, and I graciously welcome you on this edition of Multiverse. As you know, friends, we are live right now and we are ready to take your messages, your comments. We will read out all your messages and comments at the end of this program. But today, I'm going to talk about 15 weird facts that you may or may not be aware. So, let's move on, friends. Let's go to understand what are these weird facts. Well, today the topic is Earth, and this Earth is our home planet, as you know. We live on this very proudly, and we utilize all the resources of Earth. But do you know that Earth is actually a heat engine? It actually absorbs the heat, and it brings out the heat for the benefit of uh, the living beings, plants, etc. So it is working like a heat engine which absorbs and then release energy in set quantity, sometimes in infrared, sometimes as a kinetic energy. So it's a very important aspect of Earth. What is the next aspect? Well, we have never experienced an earthquake on Earth beyond 9.5 magnitude on Richter scale. But if there is a earthquake of 12 magnitude, it will probably have to split the Earth in order to justify the earthquake of that magnitude. So, if there is a huge earthquake which is of magnitude 12, it will actually split the Earth in two parts. What next? When you basically pick up something in a teaspoon, there are a billion microbes in that material of the teaspoon that you have in your hand. So, every ounce, every speck of earth material is filled with life, and that is so amazing. Well, I think most of us know that Earth is not exactly a round. It is sort of bulging at the equator because of the motion momentum of the Earth. Earth rather moves pretty fast for its size. I mean, if you look at other planets, they move slowly. I mean, if you look at Jupiter, it also moves very fast because it's a huge planet. But if you look at the Earth, the size of the Earth planet, it moves rather fast. I think this momentum was added to Earth during the early days of its formation, or probably some collision which created Moon also as part of the Earth. So it moves quite fast, and because of that, it is not round. The circular momentum creates a bulge at the equator. It's not much, but still, it is not a perfect sphere. Well, as the day proceed, as the time proceed further, the days are getting longer. I'll tell you why. Because the day and night cycle was basically controlled by the moon activity, and moon is actually drifting further and further away from us, and because of that, the speed of the earth is also slowing down slightly. So as the time passes, as moon moves away from us, we will have a longer day meaning 24 hours day, which is day and night put together, and it will be slightly longer, and eventually it will become quite long after a few million, maybe a billion years from now. Well, I think this is very interesting. The point is that you can see Earth shrinking from space. You see, what happens is the groundwater is actually accumulated by soaking the water into the earth. And when you actually take that water out, when the groundwater reduces, there's a shrinkage which happens, and in fact, all the GPS location can register these shrinkages. It can be seen from the space. So when you take out the groundwater, that area of Earth will shrink, and the GPS satellites, they are so sensitive, they can actually record these shrinkages. Well, as I said earlier, the viruses, there are more viruses on Earth than the entire stars that you can see in the universe. So every speck, every point on earth is filled with life, whether it is virus or a single cell organism or human beings. Everywhere you can find earth. In fact, there is a biosphere. I think people who remember their school science, they would appreciate that there is a biosphere 2.5 kilometers down in the soil. You can still find life so deep into the earth crust, and also above in the sky. So almost like 5 kilometers above in the atmosphere, you can measure the life, and also 2.5 kilometers underneath. So every ounce, every point on earth is filled with life, and it's no wonder that there are so many viruses on earth that can outnumber the number of visible stars in our universe. I think this is a very common fact that everybody knows, that Earth's core is as hot as Sun's surface. The Sun's surface is something like 6,000 Kelvin, and the core of the Earth is also at the same temperature, and it continues to maintain that heat, and that gives our planet the necessary heat which is required for creating these phenomena like earthquakes, volcanoes, which actually shape up the history of the Earth, and to some certain extent also control weather. Weather can also be controlled by absorbing the sun's heat, but the earth heat is also important and vital for creating this different ecosystems that thrive on earth. Well, I think you may not be knowing that earth is actually radioactive. When the earth was actually formed, it material collided with each other and got stuck, and those collisions created some sort of heat. And since in universe the heat cannot travel outside, and over years, over eons, that heat got accumulated, and so that is one part of the heat which is part of the earth and still retaining that heat. And earth is a substantially large planet, so heat will be retained inside the earth core for quite some time, unlike Mars, which is actually now cold because the core is basically sort of lost its heat. But earth heat will continue to last. There is another thing that because earth is a huge planet, it is actually exerting a lot of inward compression, and because of the inward compression there are the decay, the radioactive decay which happens, which generates more heat. So there is a radioactive decay which happens inside the core of the earth, and that keeps it warmer. So there is an initial heat of formation of the planet, and then there is a continuous radioactivity which keeps on happening inside earth, and that is why earth is radioactive. It's a interesting fact to know that even earth is radioactive. There is life below the sea floor also, and these are thriving life forms. If you dig down almost 2.5 kilometers under the seabed, you will find a lot of different types of life thriving. I mean, these are single cell. Sometimes there are very small multi-cell organisms, but they have the ability to survive not in water but below in the soil, below the ocean. So there is a lot of life even below the ocean. So we know that the ocean actually generated life on earth as per the evidence. So there is a lot of life present even in the oceans below the surface of the ocean. So it's not only that we see life on on the surface or in water or in air, but also inside the earth crust. Then there are moss. We see the moss, it grows automatically with little moisture, and when there is moss, you will see that green gooey thing growing on your picket fences, and it is everywhere. So moss is a living, is a plant which grows anywhere, and that is because the moss does not require to get the nutrient from the soil. It can actually get the nutrient from the air itself. That is a very peculiar quality of moss, and that is why you can see moss everywhere. That is why this point is very, very important, that moss is everywhere. Another thing that we must keep in mind is that because of the global warming, the polar ice is melting. Actually, it is not melting now. It has been melting for last 10,000 years. And earlier there was a lot of snow on Earth. There was a lot of ice on Earth. The ocean levels were lower, and now the ice is melting. In fact, for past couple of years, the North Pole ice has completely melted every summer, and then it refreezes in the winter. But there is a lot of ice which is melting in Greenland and in Antarctica, and that will contribute to rise of the uh, uh, sea levels. It could rise by almost 2.5 feet, and if you increase the level of sea levels by 2.5 feet, most of the major cities which are coastal today, I mean, if you look at London, New York, Tokyo, Mumbai, Singapore, any large city that you see where a lot of people live, like Shanghai, they will all get submerged. They will not be existing in 100 years. So I think that is a fact that we must know, and we must make we cannot stop this. Personally, I feel that we cannot stop this kind of natural thing which is happening, but we can actually move the city inwards and must plan to do so. Well, I think humans evolved rather recently in the history of Earth, and that is why I think it's not hard to believe that the life of the Earth is 10,000 times older than the human population, because we think that we are very intelligent, but our existence is only 100,000 years, or at the most 150,000 years. So we've just arrived, whereas the planet is 5 billion years old. So the life difference between Earth's life and human life is humongous. It is 10,000 times. Well, we don't know who named Earth. I think, is it fun fact? Is it? You do let me know. Well, in most of the languages, there is a name given to Earth. I mean, there are, like for example, in India, Earth is also called Bhugol, which is Bhumi for ground and Gol for round. So, like that, there are different names in different languages, but by and large, about 90% of the world knows Earth in English as Earth. However, if you look at other planets, the name of the other planets came from the Latin or the Greek mythology. So all the celestial bodies have been named after these Greek gods, except Earth. So nobody knows who named Earth, from where this name came, which language it is. Is it English or something else? We have no idea. So, friends, I thought I'll bring these 15 facts to you. Do let me know what you feel about these 15 facts. And this is live, as you know. You can actually send in your message or comments, and even after the live stream is over, you can still engage with me. For today, I like to say goodbye, and I will meet you tomorrow in AKULMACH Multiverse with some more fun facts. Until then, have a good day and see you tomorrow.